Hello everyone and welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms video. I am RoyalMixGaming, and in today's video we're going to go over one of the new commanders for cavalry that has came out very recently and is on MGE. John Zizka, I'm going to say that wrong, but the cavalry garrison and skill tree garrison commander that we're going to be going over today. So let's get into it. So John Zizka is going to be the new cavalry garrison commander that I think everybody's going to have, simply because he has such a high damage factor, and because he's just dealing so much damage to the current target. It's going to be a higher damage factor than Nevsky, so you're going to be able to pair this with like Jadwiga, maybe YSS, something like that, and just do a lot of skill damage to the current rally and just destroy archer rallies, which is, I think this is what this is going to counter really well, is archer rallies. So his primary skill deals skill damage to the target troop up to 2200. When this commander's troops has fewer than 50 units remaining, this skill deals an additional up to 250 damage factor to the current target, which is a very high amount of skill damage to the current target, which I think is at par with like almost like an Edward skill, which is pretty good because this only has 1,000 rage requirement, which is really good. The second skill, cavalry units led by this commander gain up to 15% attack. When troops are garrisoned, cavalry units' defense is increased up to 15%, and then skill damage is also increased by up to 10% when garrisoned. Third skill is troops led by this commander take up to 10% less normal attack damage. When troops are garrisoned and take skill damage, they have up to a 50% chance to remove all normal buffs from the attacker. This spell effect can trigger once every 8 seconds. Normal buffs, if we read what it says here, normal buffs strengthen the targeted troops by increasing their attack, defense, and/or health, or things like strengthening their healing effects for a short time. So that's going to be basically buffs to your own rally, things like what Nevsky does where he applies a health buff. I think that's kind of what it's talking about, where you apply a self buff to yourself, kind of like Chandra does, things like that, where you apply a self health increase or something like that, an actual buff to yourself to do more damage or something like that. That's what this is going to remove, and it can trigger once every 8 seconds. The fourth skill, cavalry units have up to 20% more health. When launching a normal attack, they have up to a 10% chance of gaining a buff that increases their normal attack damage dealt by up to 20% for 3 seconds. This effect can trigger once every 8 seconds. His expertise is going to increase his primary skill, so deals CL damage up to the current target up to 2400. When this commander's troops has fewer than 50% units remaining, the skill deals an additional damage up to 3 surrounding troops within the radius damage factor of 300. Now we're going to have to see what this radius is. Is it like a Theo AoE, or what is it going to be? How big is this AoE when he's hitting 3 targets? I imagine it's not very big. I don't expect a YSG kind of AoE because that would be kind of really good. But it's not a very high damage factor, so it's not even going to matter. But it is nice to have simply because it's just AoE. It's really nice to have on a garrison commander so people don't get close to your flag or get close to the pass and can be picking off troops or doing anything like that, which is why I think he's going to be a very good cavalry garrison commander. Now, it's going to be hard to know which commander he's going to be really good with, but I think that Jadwiga is going to be a very good option simply because she is the current best cavalry garrison commander as a primary. I think he might be a better primary for this pair, so it'd be like John and Jadwiga secondary, because the skill tree I think is better than the mobility tree, since you can't really grab too much in there from the mobility tree for Jadwiga. You can get a little bit more skill damage out of the John primary, which is really nice. That's why I think that would probably be the best combo, would be probably John and Jadwiga. Get a little bit of AoE, pretty good combo. But the other combos I would think would be pretty good would be Nevsky secondary, because I think that's going to even up the skill damage you're dealing to the current target. So it would be like John primary and Nevsky secondary, because you're going to get the huge nuke from him, and then Nevsky, because I think Nevsky first isn't as good because you don't have the garrison tree, which you need all those talents for the garrison tree. That's why I would put him first, Nevsky secondary. That would be a little bit less of a, I would say, probably cavalry focused, kind of like Jadwiga. She has more stats for garrison. Nevsky doesn't really, so it's a little bit different, but Jad and Nevsky obviously works, so that would be an obvious next best pick. The next one after that would be probably YSS, simply because YSS has AoE. He goes really well with basically any garrison commander, and is just really good to give you buffs for all troop types. You can throw some different troops in there if you have to for like a pass or something like that, and you're doing a lot of skill damage to the current rally, which I think would be another really good pair. So when you're talking about talents for this guy, we're going to go ahead and go to one of my garrison commanders and kind of just talk about what you could do and see what you can do with that. So when you're talking about garrison talents, you can basically do, depending on what you're going for, is you want to go for impenetrable fortifications, because you take all damage is reduced by 6% when leading the garrison of your city or stronghold. You also want to go to impregnable, which sounds very familiar. So while leading the garrison of your city or stronghold, all skill damage taken is reduced by 15%. I would say those are the main ones you want to go ahead and pick up here. But also some of the other things you can try to go for if you really want to is King's Guard. You gain 1% attack, defense, and health or something like that. If you feel like you need that, I think it's a lot of points for that. Another one is Know Thy Enemy for your garrison of your city. Not for anything else, just for your city. But these are the main talents for garrison I would kind of go for. After that, this is obviously support and archery. So we're going to go ahead and swap over to Nevsky really fast and just show you those talents that I would go for here. I would probably go all the way into Rejuvenate, go all the way to Clarity, skip Feral Nature for this guy because you don't really need the extra rage. You can put Horn of Fury on him and he's good enough because you want to pick up some of the cavalry talents up here at the top. You're going to want to go for either Undying Fury or go all the way up to Emblazoned Shield. I'd probably recommend going to Emblazoned Shield, just reduce the damage you're taking rather than going for more rage since you already have the skill tree and you're getting Rejuvenate. I would go for Emblazoned Shield, go way up to there, and get whatever points else you can get, maybe Dragon Sabers and things like that. And the last few points, maybe you grab some extra rage, or you go over here and grab some extra rage over here, or get some extra garrison talents depending on what you have left over. That would be kind of the talent trees I'd be kind of going for with John, is getting, like I was just saying, getting most of the skill tree, most of the cavalry tree, and just part of the garrison tree, because going too far into the garrison tree really doesn't help you that much because you're not really reducing your damage, you're just defending your city. It's not really that great to do that, so those are the kind of the talents, the commanders I think that would go really well with John here. We're going to have to test him out, see what happens with some reports. I'll also make another video on maybe some reports that I find with him. We'll also be spinning Joan of Arc probably tomorrow afternoon. I'm not going to do it tonight, obviously, because I'm still trying to fix my streaming thing. So we're going to try and stream this wheel of Joan of Arc tomorrow around an hour before reset. We'll go ahead and try and stream me spinning the wheel for Joan of Arc. Hopefully I have things figured out. If not, I'll make a video on it, talk about Joan of Arc, what I think her best pairs would be, best talents, best commanders, all that kind of stuff in another separate video. But I hope you guys learned something from this video, learn more about John, what the next cavalry garrison commander is going to be, possible pairs, possible talents, and just how I think he's going to go. So thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.